Beauty YouTuber Nikita Dragun says that she was involuntarily detained in a psychiatric hospital in Virginia after she was picked up by Virginia police on Thanksgiving Day. According to a video she released on her Instagram stories, Nikita was held at the psychiatric hospital for a total of 8 days before being released. In a long Instagram caption, Nikita told her followers that she was kicked out on Thanksgiving Day and found herself walking the streets before being picked up by police and then hospitalized. Nikita goes on to say, "I was hospitalized and tested top to bottom. I was administered into a psychiatric behavioral health hospital involuntarily. I was so intensely I couldn't even keep my eyes open for days. I was broken. After getting called crazy so many times I almost wanted to just believe it. History is not kind to those seeking mental help. It was weaponized against me by even the ones I love most. I have been speaking to therapists and psychiatrists for months prior. Medication was an option, but for my choosing. This trip to Virginia was my way of trying to reconnect, find myself again, and the only people who seemed to understand me were the patients, bipolar, schizophrenic, etc." And for those of you who don't know who Nikita is, allow me to give you a better backstory for some context. Nikita is a 25-year-old influencer that joined YouTube back in 2013 by posting beauty videos and tutorials. In 2015, she came out as transgender, and to date she has 3.6 million subscribers, plus her own brand called Dragon Beauty. She also is currently a member of the Hype House, which is a TikTok creator collective that are even starring in their own Netflix show. According to her Instagram post about the incident, Nikita said that she was detained by a magistrate order, which is usually only granted when someone is found to be incapable of making decisions for themselves, especially in regards to things like medical treatment. As I mentioned earlier, there was also a series of now deleted Instagram stories where Nikita said that she was hospitalized for 8 days. I managed to find a few of them, and in that one she says, "I have been detained for the last 8 days, under a temporary detaining order and magistrate. I was kicked out on Thanksgiving Day, I walked the streets in the cold, I got picked up by the cops, I was hospitalized, I was administered into a psychiatric hospital involuntarily." And then in another she says, "God, I may never understand why, but I will always take on every battle. I believe in myself. At this time I ask for privacy. Family and friends, I love you. When I am ready to talk about what happened, I will. The stigma around mental health is tragic. What they do not understand, they shame. History is not kind to women who think like a man. They just call us crazy." So definitely repeating a lot of the same messaging in her Instagram stories like she did in her post I read earlier. Nikita also said that when the incident happened, she was picked up by the police while wearing clear her heels in the cold. However, Virginia State Police have declined to comment on whether or not the sheriff's office was involved in this. In the closing part of her Instagram post about what happened, Nikita told her fans, "I am a victim, I am a survivor, I am a lot of things, but I am just a girl with a dream, delusional and all. No one will ever take my wish or beliefs away from me. To my family and friends, I love you and I am okay. To my dragons, mama needs some rest for the real battle. To me, I'm just gonna pat myself in the back and say, you are good enough, never perfect, but where's the fun in that anyways? I will never hide my truth. I'm sure sharing something like this is considered embarrassing. Regardless, I just want to be seen and heard. This one is for me, forgiveness, even for myself, I am just human." Although she wasn't very specific with why she was taken into the psychiatric hospital, it is nice to see more influencers are just doing stuff like this instead of just posting their highlight reel. You know, being honest more often than not.
Starting off this countdown, we have Carrie Fisher. Before her death in 2017, Carrie came forward and shared her story of suffering with addiction and mental illness. In 2000, she told Diane Sawyer during an interview, and I quote, "I have a chemical imbalance that in its most extreme state will lead me to a mental hospital. I used to think I was a drug addict, pure and simple, just someone who could not stop taking drugs. And I was that, but it turns out that I am severely manic depressive." Carrie ended up hospitalized multiple times during her lifetime. In the end, she became an advocate to remove the stigma around mental health issues and disorders. Carrie herself was diagnosed with bipolar disorder in 1985. Moving on to number 9, we have Mariah Carey. Back in the early 2000s, Mariah Carey went through a very bad rough patch. It started in 2001 when she appeared on Total Request Live as part of a stunt. It was a planned stunt, which people didn't realize, and since her performance was a bit chaotic, as some people call it, they literally labeled her as being unstable. And that's what started her spiral. From there, things just went downhill. In July of 2001, Carey's mom made a call to the police after finding her daughter in extreme mental distress. She was then quickly checked into a hospital. Later, Carrie admitted that she was having an emotional and physical breakdown from extreme burnout. In our 8th spot, we have Sinéad O'Connor. O'Connor. In August of 2017, Irish singer Sinead O'Connor was sent to a hospital after posting a video on Facebook talking about her life-ending thoughts. That video scared a number of friends, fans, and family members. 2 months prior to the release of this video, she disappeared in Chicago, so people were very concerned about her. They ended up finding out where she was staying, and she was quickly taken to a nearby hospital for treatment. From there, she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Apparently, what started all this was her hysterectomy, a procedure in which they remove the uterus. By doing so, you lose the ability to become pregnant and no longer menstruate. On Dr. Phil, she revealed, and I quote, "What kicked all of this off was really I had a radical hysterectomy in Ireland 2 years ago, and I lost my mind after that. I became very suicidal. I was a basket case. After the hysterectomy, I was mental." Moving on to number 7, we have Mischa Barton. In 2009, actress Mischa Barton was involuntarily checked into Cedars-Sinai Medical Center psychiatric ward after she threatened to take her own life. This occurred back in 2013 when she said she had a breakdown. She said, and I quote, "It was a full-on breakdown, straight out of Girl Interrupted. I was deeply hurt at first, and then I accepted this was time. I needed to be put away from my family and all the pressure." But then in January of 2017, she was sent back to the hospital for a mental health evaluation. This happened after she was found screaming in her backyard wearing only a shirt and tie. She was released from the hospital a day later. Apparently, she was just on after celebrating her birthday with her friends. In our 6th spot, we have Yoko Ono. In 2015, Yoko Ono revealed to The Guardian that after her first marriage dissolved, her parents had her committed in the early 1960s. She was going through a period of clinical depression from the failed marriage and tried to take her own life. Her family said, and I quote, "She was feeling far too overwhelmed at the time and wasn't sure how to cope with her feelings." She admitted that the hospital helped her with just that. While at the clinic, she was visited by jazz musician Anthony Cox, who actually helped her get released, and the two ended up getting married until she met John Lennon in 1966 and got together with him in 1968. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with Kanye West. In 2016, Kanye West had a number of public meltdowns and was going on a number of weird Twitter rants that made people concerned for his well-being. In November of that year, he was hospitalized for a psychiatric evaluation at the UCLA Medical Center. It was later revealed that his meltdowns were a result of overdoing it with his prescription medication. After that was fixed, he was doing way better, and of course he started a family with Kim. But recently it was revealed that he does suffer from bipolar disorder, which he is constantly struggling with. Moving on to number 4, we have James Taylor. American singer-songwriter and musician James Taylor revealed that when he was a senior in high school, he fell into a deep depression. He was sleeping 20 hours a day, which made his friends and family deeply concerned for his well-being. As a result, he was sent to McLean Mental Hospital, where he was heavily medicated, but he claims he was grateful to be there. After 10 months, he checked himself out, although he was advised not to. But everything turned out to be fine, and he later wrote a song about his experience called Knocking Round the Zoo. Moving on to number 3, we have Amanda Bynes. Back in my teenage years, I absolutely loved Amanda Bynes, like The Amanda Bynes Show, She's the Man, Hairspray, Big Fat Liar, all the classics. I could go on and on. But sadly, it seemed like the fame and fortune got to her too much. In 2012 to 2013, she was in multiple car accidents, and she was charged with a DUI and was caught smoking weed. And over the years, she has been arrested a number of times for possession. In October of 2014, she was involuntarily committed to a mental facility in Southern California after claiming that a microchip in her brain led to her falsely accusing her dad of taking advantage of her. She was released on October 31st, but still was battling with mental health issues. She is currently under conservatorship, which means that her mother is her legal guardian. I wish her all the best though, like she was genuinely someone that I looked up to while I was growing up. In our 2nd spot, we have Britney Spears, who is finally free from her dad's conservatorship, which was restricting her in many ways and negatively impacting her mental and physical well-being. It all started around 2007. Britney made headlines after suffering a very public breakdown. During this time, she suffered from bad anxiety and was going through a divorce with her husband, who was going to get custody of her 2 children. And she was always the center of attention from the paparazzi. This, combined with all the pressures of being who others wanted her to be, caused her to snap. She shaved her head and acted more erratically. She was seen smashing the window of a paparazzi's car with an umbrella and had multiple public breakdowns. breakdowns. All of this combined with alleged substance abuse had her involuntarily committed into a psychiatric hospital twice. After the second time, her father fought to get temporary conservatorship over her, and this was only supposed to be for a year until Britney was stable again, but it eventually dragged on for 13 years. And in our number one spot today, we have Nikita Dragun. On a number of posts Nikita made on Instagram on December 13th, she announced that she was involuntarily admitted to a psychiatric hospital after being picked up by police on Thanksgiving. According to Nikita, she was kicked out on Thanksgiving Day and found herself walking the streets before being picked up by police and then hospitalized. She went on to reveal that she was so intensely that she couldn't keep her eyes open for days. She continued on saying, and I quote, "After getting called crazy so many times, I almost wanted to just believe it. History is not kind to those seeking mental help. It was weaponized against me by even the ones I love most. I have been speaking to therapists and psychiatrists for months prior. This trip to Virginia was my way of trying to reconnect, find myself again. The only people who seemed to understand me were the patients." Nikita also revealed that she was detained by a magistrate order, which is only given to people found incapable of making decisions for themselves. Nikita has yet to reveal why this order was granted to her in the first place as to why she was forcibly institutionalized. But it seems as if she wants to be open with her audience about it all. She just needs time to herself and to heal first.